Terrifying is racial discrimination. An elderly white woman arrived at the doorstep of a black family with ill intentions.
Ma'am?
Your boy, I like him very, very much. Will you give him to me?
Go! Go!
Furious, Jessica quickly retreated into the house and slammed the door shut, but soon after, 3 white men appeared nearby. At that moment, Jessica was overcome with extreme fear. She knew these men had no good intentions. Without hesitation, she hid her son in the closet. Meanwhile, the group of white men had forcibly entered the house. Hearing the commotion, Jessica quickly hid behind the bedroom door. They began searching the house recklessly for her. Jessica dared not make a sound, but suddenly, one of the white men discovered her hiding behind the door. They forcefully pinned her to the ground. At the same time, the elderly white woman had found Jessica's son in the closet. She pulled out a pillowcase and did something truly insane. She tossed the pillowcase into the air, treating it like a toy. Jessica could only watch helplessly as this unfolded, unable to do anything. To make matters worse, the elderly woman then held the pillowcase above her head and began spinning it wildly. Only when she grew tired did she drop the pillowcase on the ground. Then, as if nothing had happened, they left the scene proudly. Jessica had lost her son. She hates these 4 murderers. After that incident, Jessica suffered immense psychological trauma and began to exhibit signs of mental instability. Anthony couldn't bear to see his wife deteriorate any further, so he decided to move them to a new environment to start fresh. They quickly relocated to an upscale neighborhood in Los Angeles. However, Jessica soon noticed something odd across the street. A group of white women were staring at her family in shock. It dawned on Jessica that this was a predominantly white community. Both she and her husband had a bad feeling about it. Sure enough, not long after, a large group of white people gathered outside their door. Even at night, some would continuously peer into their home. Jessica knew these people would eventually do something insane, so she decided to prepare a handgun. Having already lost one child, she wasn't going to let anyone hurt her other children. The next day, the group of white women arrived at Jessica's doorstep. In protest of black people moving into their community, they decided to cause trouble for Jessica's family. Each of them pulled out a radio and turned the volume up to the maximum, then sat outside Jessica's house together. Seeing the smug expressions on the faces of these white women, Jessica could only suppress her inner fury. She didn't want to start a conflict with them just yet. Meanwhile, a group of white men was also discussing how to drive Jessica and her family out. One of the men then proposed a vicious plan. In the early hours of the morning, Jessica's daughter noticed that their dog was missing and went to the living room to search for it. Suddenly, a creepy figure appears in the home. It slowly moved toward the little girl and reached out with 2 terrifying hands. The next morning, when Jessica went to wake her daughter, she discovered a long scar on her daughter's neck, while her husband found the dog's lifeless body in the basement. At that moment, Jessica completely lost control. She was certain that these things had to have been done by those white people. Furious, Jessica grabbed her gun and rushed out of the house recklessly. Just as she was about to lose control, her husband appeared just in time and brought her back inside. But this was only the beginning of their nightmare. More terrifying events were about to unfold.